Okay, so we're going to use trends to make predictions with graphs. Part of doing this, we'll have to use quite a bit of critical thinking. So the title of this is the island population of animals. So imagine this is some island, who knows where, maybe Pacific, Atlantic, and it has animals and wildlife living on it. Okay? Our y-axis is measuring the population, but it's in thousands. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. And our x-axis is measuring the year, starting at what year? 2000, okay? So it's starting at the year 2000. We're going to talk about what looks like maybe just the three only living things on this island. So, the three living things on this island. The very first thing I want to talk about is the number of trees on the island. What looks like overall what's happening with this trend of trees? How would you describe it?
Constant.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty consistent, constant. It looks like it's constant. From 2002, 4. So around 2006, it went up a little, but came back down. 2010, it looks like it dropped a bit, but it might go back up again. Okay? Whoops, I wasn't actually supposed to extend these past 2013, so I'm just going to erase that. Just fine. So it looks like it's pretty consistent. How about the number of wolves on the island? Yes. Is it increasing rapidly?
No.
Yeah, steady increase. It looks like it's pretty consistent in what it's increasing by. So we have an increase, and we're going to say it's a steady increase. Okay. Not rapid, just looks like it's heading in the same direction at the same rate of change. Okay. And finally, what about the number of rabbits on this island? Yeah, we could say the general trend again is a steady decrease in the number of rabbits on this island. Now, let's say I wanted you're a biologist here, and I needed you guys to make a prediction about this island in the coming years, maybe in the year 2014, 2020, and then again in 2024. So I'm going to extend this graph. Every 2 looks like it's going, so this graph, each of these sections represents 2 years. Okay? So this looks like this will be 2014 here. Then we have 2016, 18. Here's 2020. And then here's 2024. So I'm going to have to move some things over so that we have room. And I want you guys to use some critical thinking while going through this, because there might be a bit of a trick in this question. Oh, did that. I don't want that to happen. Just remember that that's number of wolves, okay? Okay, so what do you guys think is going to happen in the year 2014? What's going to go down? Tell me each one. Describe them. And what does that represent? Rabbits? Okay. Using our y-axis as a reference point, where would you say in 2014 that blue might be? If this is 3,000 and this is 4,000, in reference to this y-axis, in 2014, where do we think rabbits will be? You think it's going to do this? Slowly? So you got to give me an estimate by looking at this graph. I know there's an entire 1,000 between here. 3,800 would probably be around here, so maybe about there. Does that look like it'd be a good estimate? Yeah, that looks like a steady decrease. Good. 2014, what about the wolves? You think it's going to stay steady? What has been happening? There's been points where it goes consistent, but overall, what has the trend been? To increase. The overall trend has been to increase. So it'd probably be a little more logical to say it's gone up. Where would you say to?
Maybe a little lower.
Yeah, there, higher, lower. It's about the same thing, right? So we have a small increase in the 2 years, a small decrease. And what about our trees? Yeah, it's probably going to be consistent because that's what it's doing. We use these trends to make our predictions, okay? So 2020 isn't too far away, okay? It's another 6 years from 2014. What would be a good estimate, you think, in 2020 for the amount of rabbits? Where do you think it'll end up, Brendan? 3.2, around here? Yeah, I think that's pretty good estimate. What about the wolves? You think it's going to go past them? Up here? 2,800, something like this? That looks a little more like the general trend we've been doing. I think the first prediction was a little high. And then our trees, like usual, we're doing all right. Now, talk to me about this trend. Why does it look like the wolves are going up and the rabbits are going down? What's probably happening on this island? So, put up your hands. Mitchell. The wolves are eating the rabbits. I want you to keep that in mind for the next one we're going to predict. Okay? Because maybe our trend won't be the best prediction of the next one. So this looks excellent. It looks like the wolves are probably about to surpass rabbits on the island. So 2024. Okay? Or actually, instead of that, what year do you think maybe our wolves will surpass our rabbits? What would be a good estimate?
2022.
I think halfway in between, about here, I think we might see something like this. Okay, so let's assume that does happen. The wolves continue to increase, the rabbits decrease. We assume the trees stay the same. What do you think will happen to this trend from that point? Using logic, okay, and how animals work, assuming that the rabbits are the wolves' food. Yeah, so try to use some critical thinking here. Once the wolves surpass the rabbits, what's happening to the wolves' food? It's going down. Can the wolves increase at this steady rate with less and less food? Probably not. So we might have something where the wolves actually start to dip again. And when the wolves dip again, what would probably happen to the rabbit population? We might start to get an increase, okay? So that's a bit of critical thinking where the trend didn't quite predict what we think might happen. That's logical, and you could have said the trend would have continued. But the critical thinking helped us know that there's probably going to be a max point for both of these, right? Right, they cross each other. And because one feeds on the other, maybe it'll start to reverse after that point.